Scaling up its attack on the Modi government over Arnab Goswami's WhatsApp chats with former BARC CEO Partho Dasgupta, the Congress on Wednesday said that leaking of information on the Balakot airstrike amounted to an act of treason. Fielding Congress leaders and former union ministers to launch the attack, the Congress demanded that the minister or person responsible for leaking the information must be booked. Leaking of information on Balakot strike, an act of treason. Responsible person must be booked. Hello and welcome to National Herald. I am Rukmini Sen. Today in this conversation joining me is Pawan Khera, the National Spokesperson of Indian National Congress, Wing Commander Anuma Acharya, and National Herald's Editor-in-Chief Zafar Agha. My first question is to Mr. Khera. Mr. Khera, sir, has there really been an act of treason?
Rukmini, there are two aspects to this particular facet of the chats that have been leaked. Those chats are a part of the charge sheet filed by the Mumbai police in an ongoing investigation on the so-called TRP scam. The one aspect is, which we all know, that somebody told Arnab Goswami in advance that there will be a strike in retaliation to the Pulwama attack. 3 days before the actual strike happened, he shared this information, disseminated this information to another unauthorized person on a social media app called WhatsApp. So the one aspect is the person who gave this information to Arnab definitely committed an act of treason. Who could it be? It's a speculation. There are four civilians who were authorized to possess this information: the Prime Minister of India, the Home Minister of India, the Defense Minister of India, and the National Security Advisor. These are the four civilian people or functionaries of the government who are authorized to have this information. Arnab definitely was not authorized to have this information. Arnab comes much later. Somebody gave this information to Arnab. That's an act of treason and also a violation of the Official Secrets Act. Arnab then further disseminated this information to another unauthorized recipient. That's also an act of treason and a violation of the Official Secrets Act.
Mr. Khera, before I go to anyone else, I have a very direct question for you. In the press conference, you mentioned that PM Modi works for 18 hours, and you asked a question that how did he fit in Arnab Goswami in his schedule? I want you to directly answer me. What did you mean by that? What were you suggesting?
You go through the chats, which I'm sure you have gone through, the number of times Prime Minister's name is dropped by Arnab shows the kind of proximity Arnab enjoyed with the Prime Minister. So, how can the Prime Minister of the largest democracy of the world have so much time on his hand to handhold Arnab Goswami, to help him against his rivals, to help him through BARC, through TRAI, and intervene on his behalf? Why? Is that the job of the Prime Minister of India? After all, these are professional business rivalries which 2 or 3 media houses have against each other. What has the Prime Minister got to do with it? That's another example of crony capitalism at its worst. So, from the various decisions, policy decisions that the Prime Minister has taken over the last 7 years, we know who exactly is he working for. The business interests of 3 or 4 corporates. This is yet another example of the Prime Minister spending his time, his mandate on another business interest. This time it belongs to the so-called media. I hate to call it media because this is not what media is. I mean, I see these respected faces. Zafar Saab I have known for ages now. This is media. Arnab is not a journalist. I mean, if he claims he's a journalist, I'm sorry, I don't buy that. It's not a journalist. It's a businessman trying to fix deals, trying to circumvent laws, using his proximity with the Prime Minister and other powerful functionaries of the government, and finishing his rivals or beating his rivals.
I bring Mr. Agha to the discussion now. Sir, Mr. Khera is making some very serious accusations. He's saying that Arnab is a businessman, he's not a journalist, that he's almost a lobbyist. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know Arnab, whether he's really a lobbyist or he's really working for his own channel, whatever he's doing. But one thing is certain, that the worst fears that were about media are proving true. I mean, these chats have left us, media, the entire media, into a very bad light. What are we doing? What are we doing as a journalist? Are we? I mean, at one point in chat, he celebrates that his TRP is going up because 40 people have CRPF personnel were killed in a terrorist attack. Is it the job of a media man? It clearly emerges from these chats that he was trying to push his business interests through the BARC chief, and that is not the job of an ideal journalist. That is not the job of he is all for his business interest rather than providing honest and truthful journalism. He was not doing truthful journalism.
If I may bring Wing Commander Acharya to this discussion now. Ma'am, when you read for the first time that there was rejoicing of death of our soldiers, I mean, considering you are from the service, you're a Fauji, what was your first reaction, if I may know?
Naturally, I was very shocked. I thought it is quite an insensitive thing. Just for some TRP, he is bragging about it. I always thought journalism is all about, I understand that accessibility, they develop their sources, but they are supposed to be ethically matured. Because to me now it appears to be a systematic failure wherein the highest echelon of power is compromised, and Mr. Goswami had all the access to those people. PCS and the other people, like the chief is one of the members. If you have seen his press conferences, he has been very cautious even after that successful attack. तो यहाँ जो दिखता है वो ये दिखता है कि Arnab Goswami is not only using it as a mileage, he is just not, he couldn't care less about the armed forces and the soldiers.
Mr. Khera, Rahul Gandhi has said that there will be no formal inquiry in his press conference yesterday, and he has gone ahead and actually blamed the Prime Minister for leaking of information on Balakot strike. I mean, these are really serious accusations.
That's been the track record of this government. No accountability, no answerability, no responsibility towards, you owe it to the people of this country. After all, as I said in the press conference today, and I said it from my heart, that the entire country spent sleepless nights worrying about our pilot. So, we need to hold them accountable. Who leaked these chats? Where all did these chats go? Where all did this information go? How can I be sure whether this information did not go to the enemy? And that's a genuine question. But this government is not used to being questioned. When was the last time the Prime Minister held a press conference? This shows the mentality of the man who's the Prime Minister of India. He refuses to take questions. He doesn't believe in dialogues. He only believes in monologues. That's the way he is. So how do you expect him to hold an inquiry against his own office? Maybe himself, maybe his colleagues, maybe the NSA. There are 4 civilians, as I said. Mr. Gandhi is absolutely right. We don't expect this government to hold any inquiry into this because the inquiry is against themselves and they are not used to being questioned.
I want to bring in another chat that was mentioned that has been mentioned in the chart sheet. Mr. Agha, if I may ask you, BARC chief and Arnab Goswami have chatted about the economy of the country, and Arnab reportedly says that he believes that economy of the country is in doldrums, but he can't report about it. Now, this is withholding of information. This is absolutely unethical when it comes to journalists, withholding of information. Do you see this as unethical, or do you see this as criminal?
Of course, it's criminal. We are in this profession as a journalist to inform the nation, inform good thing or the bad thing. And when it comes to this information, like the economy is ruined, you yourself is saying it that it's shattered, but you say that I can't declare it, and I can't say it, and I can't speak it about this on my show, on my program. That it reflects that the number one, that the journalist is not honest about facts. He doesn't care about the facts, and and I must say that what Pawan Khera today in his press conference said, that the worst part of this as a journalist, what comes out from these chats is the fact that there seems to be a quid pro quo between the powers that be and at least Mr. Arnab Goswami. What quid pro quo that could be? Simply that I hide information, bad information from the public, and you support me through ads and or whatever means you do. This must be examined, this must be inquired, and there must be a serious inquiry into this aspect, that how a journalist developed a sort of a cozy relationship with the government, to the extent that he is willing to even hide basic facts and basic information from his own viewers and those who watch him or see him or read him. That is shocking. That's shocking for me. Bordering on criminality. There's no doubt about it.
If I may ask one small question here, former Union Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde has said that the country has seen several wars and the governments of different parties, but such an act of leaking of official secrets has never been witnessed. Ghulam Nabi Azad, another senior Congress leader, goes on to say that Arnab has not just manipulated the TRP data, but the opinion of the country also. I mean, these are acquisitions on the basis of which governments fall in other countries. Mr. Khera, are you serious about these acquisitions?
For example, the then INB Minister Rajyavardhan Rathore brushing the complaint against Arnab and another channel under the carpet, and Arnab talking about it to Partho Das Gupta in the conversation. The complaint was of a serious nature, that the platform of the Doordarshan was being illegitimately used for free by these two channels is a serious offense. It costs to the exchequer running into crores, because at the end of the day, there was an auction policy which they did not adhere to. So the quid pro quo is writ large through these chats. If you see, they are obliging the government. तुम मुझे फेक टीआरपी दो, मैं तुम्हें फेक पब्लिक ओपिनियन दूंगा. This is the quid pro quo. And you can see that there is a myth-making machine for Mr. Narendra Modi, and Arnab Goswami is the driver of that vehicle. Not from today, from 2010 onwards, I've been watching this man and his journey. This man is the reason why so many myths around Narendra Modi and his regime are spun. So the mythology around Narendra Modi is what Arnab Goswami has done for Narendra Modi. So it's not just Arnab. Arnab is a storyteller. Forget him. He's not the story. The story is Narendra Modi and his regime. What has come out is what this regime is all about. Arnab is incidental. It could be someone else tomorrow.
That's very important point he has raised, and I would like to join here with him. You know, the situation has come to a pass where journalists and journalistic outfits are referred as Godi media. And when somebody referred to a media house as a good Modi media house, it's not only Arnab Goswami. It's a much, much larger game plan. It's a much, much larger conspiracy, I must say that. And the purpose is to create, as Mr. Kera pointed out, is to create a myth around Mr. Modi, create public opinion and during the times of elections to win elections. I mean, the entire Balakot airstrike, which should have been there, the nation welcomed it, every political party welcomed it, supported it, was used to win elections. And the media played ball with the government in that. That is criminal. That is not the job of the media. That is the job of a political party. And as he has pointed out, he is not just one guy. They read the story of the quid. I have, as a journalist in the last 40 years, I have seen ordinary reporters turning into media house owners. How come? And today, in my column in Hindi, today I have said, and I demanded for this forum as well, that there must be inquiry not just against Arnab Goswami, but the entire functioning of the media houses. What is going on? I mean, I as a journalist, I was told that a newspaper cannot have a full front page ad. Now we have 3 pages of jacket ads, 3 pages, and one government. I mean, I can tell you, in 2 months ago or 1 month ago, I don't remember exactly the date, Delhi government was under fire from media when the number of COVID cases were going up. During that phase, the Delhi government comes out giving full 2 pages of ad to all major newspapers. And I'm naming it. I'm naming the day. And immediately the trend change in the media reporting change on COVID. That is what is going on. So it is not just Arnab. Arnab is just the symptom. Arnab Goswami is just the symptom. The malice, the disease is much more serious. It's very, very serious. And the entire functioning of the media now needs to be examined. And if we failed, then the democracy fails. Because no democracy can survive without an honest and frank, truthful media. That is something shocking. We are talking not just about Arnab Goswami, we are not just talking about one channel, we are talking about the survival of democracy. That's what I believe.
Wing Commander Acharya, if I may ask you, former Defense Minister Mr. A.K. Anthony has mentioned that clearly classified documents, classified defense documents were available, were leaked to journalists. They could have been leaked to anybody for that matter. This is a concern which has been repeatedly mentioned in the press conference on Wednesday.
And Rukmini, we have a security classifications very clear in our minds. The day we join our services, the confidential, the restricted, the classified documents are always, and they are in the accessibility of those who are supposed to be having them. Now here, we take a lot of time making a plan. The plan takes months and months to fructify. We work on every detail, minute to minute, seconds to second, and this was an Air Force strike. So we keep our forces in an all-time alert mode for that one day wherein the country needs it. But it is such an irony that the Indian Air Force has been used as an election winning machine. This strike was all for this purpose. I really feel very sad about it.
And it's time to close the show. I'm sorry, there's a lot to discuss, but we have only so much time. If I may ask Mr. Kera, what's the way ahead, sir? Of course, we need a strong opposition to kind of take a lead in a matter like this.
I've been hearing this phrase, and with due respect to you and all the other well-wishers of democracy, I would say, who expect the opposition to be strong and robust. How can the opposition become robust? The media plays a very important role in that. And unfortunately, we are fighting at various fronts. every evening when I go to my television debates, I end up answering questions as if we are in power, as if we are answerable. If we talk about a village coming up in Arunachal, a Chinese village coming up in Arunachal, they talk about 1962. This is the kind of media we are dealing with. So I respect the sentiment that Congress is expected to take up these issues and fight. We'll not fail the nation, we'll fight because we are used to that. We are at our best when we are struggling. We are at our worst when we stop struggling. And we did stop struggling, and therefore we are where we are. I have no qualms in admitting that. This is our time to struggle and rediscover our strengths. Our strengths lie in taking up issues of the people. Why do you think we are not a cadre-based party? Because there was no need for a cadre, because the issues that we took up as a party brought the support of people, of groups, of large groups, whether it was the independence struggle, whether it was the issues and the policy decisions taken up when we were in government after independence. These are the issues that we need to take up. We don't need a cadre. We just need the right issues, the right spirit. We shall overcome.
Listen, Pawan has made a very pertinent point that not just the Congress party, entire opposition is fighting at two fronts. One, as the opposition parties, they are facing the onslaught of the ruling establishment, which is very different from what we have seen so far. Secondly, they are also fighting the media. Simultaneously, they are fighting the media. As Pawan points out, day in and day out, whenever you, I mean, they have, it's not the ruling party that is being asked questions, it is the opposition parties and opposition leaders, not just the Congress, cutting across the opposition spectrum. They are being asked questions and they're being held responsible. Important stories are, as a journalist, I know very, very important stories are being killed. Very, very important good things that opposition doesn't get focus, or even if it gets focus, it is on page 4 or not in the prime time on television. So this kind of attitude must change if media is serious about defending democracy. And if it is serious only about its own business, only about its TRP, only about its profits, then it's not going to happen. And as a journalist, let me finish with the fact that I'm not very hopeful from this media.
I'll give the last word to the Fauji and the lady in the panel, Wing Commander Acharya. What is your demand as somebody who has served Air Force? What is your demand from the government?
The defense services are meant for a specific purpose. The purpose is sacrosanct. The government should ensure that they should not use armed forces as a tool of their event management. That will be the greatest thing they can do to the services. And services, let the services take pride in what they are doing. They should not, later on, they should not think that they have been utilized for a political purpose.
Thank you, Wing Commander Acharya. And thank you, Mr. Khera, for making time for us. It's been a very busy day for you. Thank you, Mr. Agha. It is a matter of national security, nothing short of that. And there has been leaking of information on Balakot strike. Whether it's an act of treason or not is something that we will see soon. Let's hope that an inquiry will be done. This is Rukmini Sen signing off from National Herald, Delhi.